me check under here. All I heard from that particular point on is book an OR stat. But she didn't say that slow. This is how it's coming back in my head as book. She was like, book an OR stat. Like, it happened so quick. So at this particular point in time, I look over at my friend Monica. Now this is like how everything is happening in slow motion. And I look over at my friend Monica, and so she's looking at me. And at this particular point, her face is completely blank. And as I'm looking at her, I look at the doctor. And the doctor says, Miss Johnson, I just want to let you know everything is going to be okay. She's not saying it this slow. I'm just saying it this slow for video purposes. She said everything is going to be fine. However, we have to give you an emergency. She said, I just want to let you know, and I have to let you know the risk of emergency C-sections. She said, you know, there can be infections. There can be death. There can be excessive bleeding. And so she's telling me all this stuff in my head. Whew. I told y'all, it still triggers me. So she's telling me all this in my head, and I'm like, okay. So I'm calm. So she's like, you know, calm, you know, remain calm. We're all going to take care of you. And so at this particular point, when she said book an OR fast, she's telling me this stuff. But when I say everything, like, you ever seen like in movies or on TV shows where there's like the person going through something, like they're just at a standstill and everything around them is moving fast? That's what was going on around me. Like she hit a button, like all of a sudden I heard was book an OR stat. A button was pushed. She's telling me and breaking down to me all the things that can happen during an emergency C-section. And then she also tells me, we don't have time to give you an epidural. We don't have time to give you a spinal tap. So we're gonna have to put you to sleep. So I just looked over to my friend and I say, make sure you update my family on what's going on. Go in the hallway, you know, in the waiting area, and let my family know what's going on. Keep them updated and just pray for us. That was my last words to her. And from her perspective, she was just sitting there because she didn't know what the fuck was going on. She was just like, so can I go in a, like, can somebody go in a room with her? Like, you know, at this point we're just thinking it's just like a regular C-section. And they were like, no, nobody can go back. And the reason why nobody could go back is because at this particular point in time, it's considered a major surgery. Like, it's not like, not saying C-sections aren't major surgeries, but because they had to like literally put me to sleep and not just like numb me from, you know, wherever they numb you, and you know, in your spine so that you don't feel it, like literally. So at this particular point, I see like all the nurses are rushing over my head, people putting coats on. There's like, I'm in the operating room now. They're switching me from one bed to the next. You know, the anesthesiologist is in there, and you know, they're telling me like, you know, we're gonna take care of you. Everybody in this room is here to make sure that you are safe, you and your baby are safe. And all of a sudden, I just looked at the anesthesiologist and the doctor, and I said, just make sure we come home. And she said, I got you. And after that, I woke up in recovery. And when I wake up in recovery finally, I'm told, congratulations, you had a son. And I'm just like, oh, okay, thank you. You know, I'm thankful. I will say this, from the time that I got into the hospital and checked in, and I was fussing with the nurse and stuff, it was, we got to the hospital about 7:20. My son was born at 8:46, an hour and 20 minutes later. So mind you, I already told you that Delaware, from where my family lives and from where my son's father was at, it's an hour and a half away. And again, they didn't leave exactly when I told them, you know, they left like, you know, minutes later, maybe like an hour later. So before they could even get to the Bay Bridge, they were being told that Tegan was born. And so they're confused because they're just like, we just got off FaceTime with her, and like, I'm confused. So when I wake up, I didn't know it was literally hours later. I was told that my son was in the NICU. He is doing good. We're told your pressure is up a little bit, so you know we have to keep you in recovery until we can get your pressure down. And so again, at this particular point in time, I have no recollection of what happened after the doctor said, I got you. That was it. So what I will say is this: everybody at their hospital was amazing. Amazing. From my high-risk nurse, the doctors that saved our lives, because what I found out once I was able to come to, once I was actually able to hear from everybody's perspective, like literally all of my family, my friends, the doctors, the nurses, like literally when I was able to come to, like when I came to, I didn't even understand the severity of what had happened while I was under. I was told that I had a placenta abruption, and there are fewer than 200,000 cases that this happens each year. Like pretty much it's like a 1% chance that this can happen in pregnancies. And guess who had to be a part of that 1%? So pretty much what a placenta abruption is, it pretty much means that my uterus and your placenta, excuse me, starts to separate. And we know that the placenta is the baby's lifeline. Like that's where the baby gets all the oxygen. So mine didn't separate. Mine abrupted, so it bursts, right? It bursts. So once me and my cousin started doing research on it, we found out that also the reason why that I was going through the contractions that I was going through is because when it bursts like that, it automatically sends a signal to my body that I'm technically 10 centimeters dilated and it's time to push the baby out. So mind you, this whole time I didn't even get checked. I don't even know how many centimeters I was. Like literally I don't know any of that because I didn't even get a chance to get checked. That's how fast everything happened and started moving. And when I say that it was nobody but God, my mom, my angels that was in that room with us, that's all I can say. Nobody can't tell me that there is no God, that both me and my son are still alive. They didn't know. First of all, with me, what I found out is that pretty much after after they delivered him, that I pretty much was bleeding out on the table. So unfortunately they wasn't able to stitch me up until my blood started to clot, and my blood wouldn't clot. And so I'm losing blood on the table. And you know that as I had already told you all, that my doctor had said that one of the things that could happen during an emergency C-section is that, you know, I could be susceptible to infection. So I could, like, me being out on that table, them not being able to properly prep correctly for my surgery, like I could have really had some kind of infection. Outside of the infection, I could have died on the table, bleeding out on the table if my blood didn't clot. Then on my son's side, I was told, and this is from the nurses and from the hospital and the doctors, that they pretty much had him delivered and in the NICU on a cooling mat in 12 minutes, which is fast. And the reason why they had to put him on a cooling mat is, again, because he was losing oxygen, and because they don't know how long he was with oxygen after the abruption. Like, they don't know if it was for 30 seconds, they don't know if it was for a minute, they don't know if it was for an hour. So because of that, they didn't want any of his organs to start swelling, so they had to put him on a cooling mat for the first 3 days of his life, where he had to be on this mat for, like, it was a 33-degree mat. Now mind you, it's January and it's already cold outside, so pretty much he was outside with no clothes on is the best way that I can describe it. And so they had to make sure that none of his organs swell, and so they had to slowly cut the temperature up on him every day. They also had to make sure that he didn't have any seizures, so he had to be monitored, you know, for seizures. And so I wasn't even able to see him. Like they wheeled me in there the first like couple of hours, like after, like, once we both got settled, and when I was going to my room. So I didn't get to see him actually for the first day. I had to wait a whole day. So I want to thank my friends and my family for taking all the pictures that they did, videos that they did, because I wouldn't have had no memories of him at all, except for when I was able to finally go into the NICU. It's a lot more, but I just want to say that we are both healthy. We're both strong. There were so many side effects that could have happened to my son. There are, one of the major things that could happen is that he could have been prone to seizures, again, because he didn't have no oxygen to his brain. That affects a lot of other organs and things. They were saying he was going to have his development skills were going to be slow. Not the case. Not the case. If you know my baby, you know he is very smart. The doctors have told me, and my family have told me, that that they could have coded him at any time. That's how weak his pulse was. He came out gray. His pulse was not even detectable. So again, nobody but my God. And the one thing that I will say throughout all this, and this is why it took me so long to do the video, because for one, again, I don't remember a lot of the meticulous details that happened after they put me out. But everything that has been happening afterwards has been nothing but a miracle. We both had to get blood transfusions while we were in the hospital. He had to be in the NICU for 11 days, and they kept telling me that they didn't even know how long he was even going to be there. They were like, yeah, I don't want to give you your hopes up high to say he's coming home on this day. And that was one of the hardest things that ever I had to do in my whole life, was to leave my baby in the hospital and come home. But the one thing I will say is that technology is amazing, and that the hospital had cameras that was able to overlook his bed, and I was able to see him 24 hours a day. I would log in to the little webcam, and as long as they weren't like doing like any of his like routine things, like changing his pamper, trying to feed him, things like that, giving him medicine, things like that, changing his bandages and things like that, the camera was always on. Y'all, it's been over a year and a half, and it still amazes me how much we are here.
Hi guys, it's me, Tamika, aka Skinny Girl in my VSG body. As you can see, We are at the hospital. And Mr. Tegan Jace is here, but he is perfect. He's perfect. He's in the NICU right now. I'm in a high-risk perinatal center, and just trying to recover. I'm about to go back. Well, I'm about to go to sleep because I need some rest so my body can recoup and recover. I had to have an emergency C-section. So again, we'll go over the reasons why soon. I just wanted to come to y'all to let y'all know that those contractions that y'all saw earlier today, they were real. So they got me trying to train my boobies. Not train them, but get them going so that way he can get some nutrients from me. But just know that God is good. When I tell y'all this story, I knew I was going to give y'all a show at the end. My whole pregnancy was so boring. But the finale, So, again, just know God is good. He is. And I thank him for everything. Bringing me and baby boy in this world safely. So, I will talk to y'all later. I'm about to take a nap. As you can see, I'm going down. So, I will chat with y'all later.
So yeah, I got some other clips and some other videos I will show to you all later. Thank you all for watching my video and my birth story. It's finally here, as much as I can remember, since, like I said, it's been over 1.5 years. Again, subscribe to my channel. Follow me at SkinnyGirlinMyVSGBody. And yeah, I'll talk to y'all on my next video. Bye.